Members, I remember about 6 years ago, because I'm privileged to have been in this committee in Jerusha, there were a problem of inflated figures, where students had been inflated to 12 million. That's why NEMIS came in. Now the issue, which are actual, and that one, it costed the government billions of shillings, because the principal would come out with a list that I have 800 students in a school, and you need to pay him. So to cut that short, to make sure that there was also some order in the education sector, it was in this committee that we asked that let us have the actual number of students through the National Education Management Information System, which has some its bottlenecks, PS, because you are implementing it with the State Department of e-Citizen and all those other provincial administration. But our question here is, what are you doing to ensure that all the students are captured? Because if you don't do that, you are disadvantaging the students without birth certificates, those in the poor network areas, and areas where it is hard to reach. So what has your office done? Because knowing very well that we have regions in this country where parents a child takes up to 5 years before he gets a birth certificate. What are you doing with them? Because if you go to Meru and even parts of all other counties, we have that particular problem. Can you address that? But we shall not allow you to open a Pandora's box where you are going to tell principals to come with, what do you call it, lists. We cannot allow that, because we know that is a very dangerous direction.
Thank you, Chair. I would want to affirm one thing, that this challenge is not a problem in our secondary schools. Because in our secondary schools, they do an exam in class 8 and they progress to Form 1. And therefore, we have data from the Kenya National Examination Council, which we can use to collaborate the figures. I acknowledge we had challenges last year with junior school. And we can all appreciate that junior school was domiciled in our primary schools in November, December. And kids who are transitioning to junior school in January. Within that particular time, we acknowledge there were challenges. But I can assure you that we have addressed most of the challenges, because kids in junior school are transiting after an assessment. They do an assessment in grade 6. Now, what we have just done, and we are finalizing on that, is that we are using the assessment number to register our students in NEMIS, so that we have a validating instrument, which is now National Examination Council. So just like we have sorted out our issues in secondary schools, members, I can assure you that within the next 1 month, which we are finalizing now, is that we are using the assessment number of our children who have transited from grade 6 to junior school, so that now the basis of being captured in NEMIS, while we are dealing with a few cases of kids who may not be having birth certificates, then the assessment number will be our solution, just as been our solution in our secondary schools. Chair, I would also want to give one assurance, is that the school-based assessment now starts from grade 3, the Kenya Early Years Assessment. And Examination Council has also assigned an assessment number to our kids from grade 3 all the way to grade 6. So for children who do not have birth certificates, we are also going to use the assessment number so that we can capture them. So that our gray area, which we are now going to deal with, is grade 1 and grade 2. But from grade 3, who have now been assigned an assessment number, we shall use that assessment number to collaborate the numbers that have been registered for assessment at the Kenya National Examination Council and the numbers that we have. And we are now working very closely with the Examination Council so that we also do not have schools who inflate their numbers in assessment by using the NEMIS system. And we are looking forward with the national registration system, with the Maisha number now that will be issued at birth, then some of these challenges will be addressed. And we believe that working and delivering as one in government, and as we also do registration for social health insurance, then all these numbers will be able to collaborate. And we should not again be having the challenges that of numbers in our schools. I can assure you from grade 3 now, all the way to Form 4, with the examination assessment number, those will be sorted out. Our officers will focus more on kids transiting from PP1 to grade 1, and therefore we know the number in grade 1 and grade 2. So, Chair, we are cleaning up our system. And with the Kenya Education Management Information System, then some of these challenges will for sure be addressed.
On that note, so that we don't belabor on this, PS, I would want you to, in the next, when you appear before this committee, give us very clear policy on how you use the exam number, the NEMIS number, the Maisha number, and the social insurance number. Because if you are going to collaborate those 4 numbers and you will use it for funding, then surely the gap will be very small. Yeah. But I also want you to relate with your counterpart in ICT, areas without network, because all this boils down again to information feeding to the national office, which is the headquarters. Even if I have all these numbers, I know that the schools will feed it through examination cards and the rest. You also need to fast track the networking programs in our schools. That one is a very important thing. Members, we need to make progress.
As we wind up, Chair,
let me give Taitumu because he was the one.
As you wind up,
yes.
Kindly let there also be actual numbers.
Yes.
The number captured in the NEMIS,
yes,
vis-a-vis the real enrollment are not captured, so that we can get the discrepancy.
We are against the real enrollment. Yeah. And you are talking about real enrollment because that is the number of the principal of the head teacher.
The number that being getting getting the capitation.
Come up again. What do you mean by real enrollment?
What we are saying, we should see the actual numbers, the vis-a-vis those who are being funded and the number that is not being funded because they are not captured in the NEMIS.
Oh, that's okay. And any other issue?
A small one.
Yes.
The presentation by PS is very good. By the way, very, very good. But it's futuristic. We already have a problem. Muviki Primary in Lugari. Not a single student was funded. And I had to go myself, sit in the sub-county director's office. And the simple reason, Chair, was that the name they have here is of secondary. And here the school has been presenting pupils for KCP. So all I need, order, just a minute, Chair.
Order.
You haven't even understood my problem. You're already ordering order.
That issue is administrative. I know that is an issue that is administrative. You liaise with the correct sub-county directors and the regional director's office because it is an issue that happens even in some other institutions. I think that one is a administrative issue you need to follow up. Members,
Chair.
Yes?
A quick one.
Yes, let's have a Honorable Har.
Yeah, thank you. I was just wondering, you see, in the former funding model, capitation, you used to give more money in first term so that schools don't struggle so much as they wait for the other disbursements in the subsequent terms, the 50, 30, 20 formula. Would you consider going back to that given the challenges with financial disbursement from Treasury and all of that? Thank you.
Honorable Member for Kiba,
Chair.
yes?
We are here.
He will come, just wait. Yes, when a PS, mine is about JSS. JSS was domiciled in primary school. I know this is a policy matter, but where you sit, I want you to go and look at this very, very critically. That what mistake will you be making to take grade 9 to secondary school? Look at the teacher-student ratio in JSSS and see that JSS in this country, we do not have more than 5 teachers for grade 7 and grade 8. How much money are we going to use to employ teachers in JSS? Yet we have teachers in the secondary who next year will have nothing to teach because they will not have Form 1. The management structure of primary, the JSS cannot be controlled by primary head teachers because they are trained to teach in secondary school. So like now, they do not even share classrooms with the primary teachers. So there is a serious management structure. The available infrastructure in secondary school is more than the available structure in primary school. We will use billions to build classrooms in primary school, yet we already have structures in secondary school. The curriculum implementation. Those teachers in primary school are not able to implement curriculum. This curriculum can be implemented in secondary schools with the teachers available. How long are we going to take to build labs in primary school? We already have labs in primary school, in secondary schools, and this curriculum is CBC. So would we rather have these students in secondary school and not primary school? How long these labs are managed by lab technicians. How can primary employ lab technicians? Who will pay them? The secondary schools already have lab technicians. So as you sit with your people, as you sit with the committee, it is not too late to domicile the grade 9 in secondary school. Let us look at this as Kenyans and let us take some measures that will help this country. Lastly, we are from informal. My constituency is for informal settlement. We only have 9 primary schools. Out of over 200 primary schools, only 9 are public school. And these others are community schools or UPBET schools. What is your policy on UPBET school? Can you take informal settlement and treat them differently from other areas? Because we have so many students who are just going to community school and UPBET schools because of lack of public school. So let us have, I had seen the other time you were doing some policy on UPBET school. Can we follow it up so that it can help the constituencies which are informal? Thank you.
Yes, I allowed you a lot of latitude because you are not asked, you are not taking your time up. I'll allow Honorable Member for Narok and Honorable Kiambu and then Gisairo so that we wind up. Follow up.
Thank you.
You have a follow-up issue? He will answer all of them. PS, you'll answer other questions that have not been answered, like the one for Nabi. Proceed, okay?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Chair, I've heard the PS talking about the social insurance. And last week, Chair, I asked about the Edu Afia. Because up to date, Chair, you are aware that our students do not have the medical insurance cover, which ended on 31st December 2023. Chair, I do not know what the ministry is doing up to date to ensure that our students are covered, because as it is, they're in danger, actually, just to say the least, Chair.
Chair, I would just want to talk on this issue of JSS, which has almost become a thorn in the flesh. We aren't very sure where we are headed. But again, I would just say that when you're talking of infrastructures and improvement of infrastructure, but CS, I would want you to research CS, sorry, yes. To PS, sorry, but PS, I would want to request that you check on what is happening on the ground, because you go to any primary school or any secondary school and their infrastructure, it is CDF. You will never find a place unless somebody tells me they have seen the ministry. It is either CDF or parents coming together to do something in this school. You need to do a proper research on what your officers are doing about this improvement of infrastructure. And finally, Bwana PS, I would still want to put to you on the issue I put last year of Mweki Primary School. As we look at all those other things, when 5,000 students seated on 1 acre and every pupil has to move left every day, the day they move right, then we'll be on a serious crisis. So as we look at this infrastructure, let's put Mweki in consideration.
Yes, Honorable Gisairo.
Thank you, Chair. Looks like round 2 was to do with JSS, because I'll also go back there. Firstly, I really feel sorry for the first lot of JSS, the current grade 7, 8, and the grade 6 will be going to grade 7. Reason being, as you've heard, while we sit here with TSC, we have issues in terms of staffing. These are the only children who are being taught mathematics with a CRE teacher. These children are going to be lost, and you as a ministry, if you don't take action sooner than later, will have lost a huge chunk of our generation. As they've talked about the other issue, I'll go to infrastructure. In your presentation, you've severally mentioned the 3.4 billion that is supposed to go to NGCDF. Now, we are in Q3. That money has never reached NGCDF. Whose role is it to follow it up? Because the responsibility of ensuring schools are running is yours, not NGCDF. How far are we to ensure that we have this money? Because with an additional grade 9, which Honorable Orero has really pleaded that it moves to secondary, but I'm sure it won't.
A point of order.
Order on the Borero.
Because it's a policy issue, it will take some time.
It's a policy issue. Did you raise that? So what's wrong by him?
No, but he cannot make a decision that he knows he will not move.
He's not making a decision. He's giving
All
an
right.
opinion.
PS, if this money up to now is nowhere to be seen, in a few months' time, you have grade 9, which still remains in primary school. All this burden is being transferred to constituency development fund committees, because all principals go to them telling them we do not have classrooms, we don't have laboratories. They never go to the ministry. What are you doing to ensure that the money that you ceded to NGCDF actually goes there and does the job it's supposed to do to ensure these kids have facilities to use come next year? Lastly, on page 4 of your presentation, PS, as a committee, we are used to receiving numbers. But sometimes these numbers need to be authenticated. Otherwise, we'll just be here listening that this has been done, this will be done, but we cannot confirm or deny. If you look at, on that page, under free primary education, infrastructure and equipment for public primary schools, number of schools with renovated infrastructures. You've said 200, target for 24-25, 263. How do you reach this number? How do we confirm the 200 have been done? We don't have the schools. In my constituency, I've never seen any, because all the burden comes to me as the Member of Parliament. So how do we get to know that the numbers you are presenting here actually are somewhere on the ground? Thank you, Chair.
Chair, follow-up.
Thank you.
Chair, just one follow-up.
Yes.
Thank you, PS. On the issue of ECD, I have heard your response, but I'm not satisfied. PS, the fourth schedule is not a mere suggestion. It is a constitutional provision. Chair, education policy, standardization, is a function of the national government. As we speak, PS, every county has its own law on how to manage ECD, which in my opinion is not the right direction to go as a country, because each county is now setting its own standards as to 1, curriculum, number 2, management, number 3, remuneration. PS, give us a clear directive. Give us a clear way forward as to when you will set up a policy, and more importantly, a uniform legislation. Before this house, there is a bill already on the training centers for at the county level, yeah? Not TVET. Vocational, you remember, is a devolved function. But as we speak, we already have a bill that creates uniformity. PS, why can't you create and bring before this house a uniform law that will manage ECD centers in the country so that we avoid the issue of lack of standardization, each county setting up its own curricula, each county setting up its management, so that we have a uniform law. The counties will just do the other part, but give us uniformity on ECD because it is a constitutional requirement.
Yes, thank you. I think, PS, I want you to thoroughly look into those questions, more specifically that one he has given. But there is an issue on NGCDF. Members, I want to laud you through your NGCDF committees that you've really done almost 70% of the work in schools, especially infrastructure. The funds that we appropriated last in Parliament, I think the last financial year, or this financial year, are no longer with the Ministry of Education. They're in the Ministry of Planning, where Honorable Gisairo sits. So that issue of the 3.3 billion shillings is no longer now with the Ministry of Education. You all know that. We appropriated that money, we removed the funds from Ministry of Education, we took it to the NGCDF, which is domiciled in the Ministry of, or in the Treasury. So that question can actually be answered very well, ably, by the CS Treasury. That one I think it is well, even the 1 billion for Nairobi schools. You remember that? Yes.
Chair, I fully understand what you're saying. But my point is, or my concern is, bottom line, those responsible on matters education is the Ministry of Education. You're not going to ask the CS Treasury why classes are not being built. He will not answer that question. Is it possible that the ministry, right, follows up to ensure that, because National Treasury.
Proceed. I've gotten your part. Yes, PS, proceed.
Maybe to start with that one, yes, we are seeing the challenge that is coming to us in a short while. And an interministerial team has been constituted that is having ourselves National Treasury and the National CDF board so that this issue can be addressed. This is a challenge that we have seen. And that's why an interministerial team to deal with it has been done. Because we appreciate that we need 16,000 classrooms in January. And these are real things that are required. Already we are working with our partners, our development partners. We are sure of another 9 billion shillings, which will do 9,000 classrooms, so that we can achieve these 16,000 classrooms by January. Starting from the reverse, on the ECD and the whole question, one thing I want to affirm is that the question of curriculum design, approval of curriculum instructional materials, the approval of assessment of our children at ECD is done by the national government. That I can confirm. Our designs are done by KICD. The instructional materials are approved by KICD. Under the CPA, the competence-based assessment framework, it gives the way in which assessment is done at that particular level. So, as for what the national government should be doing, we are doing. The only thing I know we cannot do, and it will be very difficult, is the pay for teachers in ECD, because in the counties, because those are employees of counties. We tried engaging with them that they can be able to, through maybe a conditional grant, allow TSC to manage their teachers, but we don't want to push so hard because it may be seen as clawing back on devolution. But it is an engagement that we are open to and we shall continue to have with our colleagues at the county government, because these are our children, and it is so clear from research and literature that if children are properly prepared in the first 2 years of learning, it reduces the cost of education by a whole 15%. So this we shall need to continue dealing with it. On the issue of junior school, I know this is one area where we have all dealt with and we have all engaged on. So let me deal with it as a cross-cutting issue, not like I'm answering a question from any of the members, but trying to address what Mwalimu has said. One thing I want to be candid on is on the issue of the education reforms and what we have set out for ourselves. When the 263, that is 2 years in junior school, 6 years in primary school, 3 years in junior school, and 3 years in senior school was adopted, and it is from research that we would want to have an education system that is age appropriate, that our children can be able to go anywhere today and be able to join into an age appropriate education. And therefore, Chair, I would want to be fair on this and say we appreciate the challenge that may be there with grade 9 and the thinking by some Kenyans that we can take grade 9 to secondary school. But we shall be using a short-term solution to sort out a long-term problem. We only have no Form 1 next year. But in 2026, we shall be having grade 10. And when they transition, the number of kids transitioning from junior school to senior school will be the same number, notwithstanding that they will be in 3 cohorts or 3 classes, but the total number will still remain. So we don't want to use short-term solutions for long-term issues. We should deal with the long-term issues that we must deal with. And in terms of teacher training, I'm a trained teacher myself. And why we don't have the second S in junior school today, after the Presidential Working Party, is that we are not dealing with a secondary school. We are dealing with content that we give to our children in a certain level of learning. That level of learning is called junior school.
Yes, I want to comment you on that. You've really come out very clearly. But do you know why every Kenyan is stuck with secondary school? And the issue of grade 8, grade 9, and all that. It is because of your communication team. You can speak very well here. It is well understood by these members. I also understand it very well. But you have failed us on the communication aspect of it. When you speak on that particular issue now, it is coming out very clear. We are not dealing about secondary schools. We are not dealing without anything. We are dealing out with age-appropriate system. But where are you? When when some people want to take some students to secondary school again, the other S is very loud in the whole republic. So you have an assignment.
We shall do better, Chair, on our communication, but I still insist we don't deal with short-term solution for long-term issues. And we shall try to communicate to Kenyans so that they will appreciate us better. We are bringing the sessional paper to this House. We are bringing 13 legislations that will try to align our education, and we want to believe that as this House deals with those particular instruments, then it will be part of creating a long-term solution that will be able to deal with what we have done. And these are always the teething problems when you deal with education reform. We may have gone through the same in 1985, but with time we were able to smooth them out. We shall for sure be able to smooth out, and no child, no generation will be lost. This, we shall deal with it, and our children have already achieved to a very large extent that which they required for themselves. So, yes, we acknowledge that there are challenges with the resources, and making sure that we visit our schools in terms of quality assurance. This was brought out by Honorable Nabi. If you check on our document, we have requested that if we had 450 million, it may assist us. But we know the resource envelope that is available to us in this country today. We are already taking 28% of the national budget as education sector. So we have to be so sensitive as we push for more resources, because we know we are dealing with interrelated sectors within the country. But with the resources that we have, we shall try to spread the shilling as much as possible so that we can be able to do classroom assessment, classroom review, and the teacher support as we go forward. On policy, I think I have already talked about what we are doing with the SNE and what the Kenya Institute for Special Education is trying to do in dealing with SNE issues. I want to confirm that we are not, Mheshimiwa talked about a 50-30-20. We are already doing it. Starting this year, the only thing that happened this particular term is that we are going to disperse 50% of the resources, though in 2 tranches. We did one in January, we are doing one within the next 14 days, so that we shall have done the 50% for first term, we shall do 30% for second term. We have already done 20% for third term. We did 20% in third term in September. We are doing 50% for this term, and we shall do 30% for second term. On the ABET schools, again, I still go back that we need to deal with our issues as a country family so that we don't go back to dealing with short-term issues while we are supposed to be dealing with long-term solutions. We have already, this year, government has set aside 1 billion shillings for Nairobi County, where each constituency has been given 58 million shillings so that they can create more classrooms for our children in our regular schools. Within the next 3 years, government is building 5,000 classrooms in Nairobi for our children so that we run away from giving short-term solutions to long-term problems. So that, Mheshimiwa, we assure you that we are dealing with 5,000 classrooms and an average of 40 children in every classrooms. We should be able to sort out the shortage that we have in Nairobi today so that we can get a real long-term solution for our problems in this city. And it's not fair that we have what we are calling an alternative provision for basic education. Why alternative? Our children should get the same education. Tongei on education and EduAfya. EduAfya has been phased out because of the law. We have rebuilt the National Hospital Insurance Fund law, and we have now Social Health Insurance Fund, which is supposed to be giving us as a country universal health care. And universal health care, as the word says, universal, will take care of everybody, including our children. So we do not need to have an intervention program as we have had with NHIF. Now with universal health care, we want to believe, and already you have given us 4 legislations that deals with issues universal health care, the critical care fund, there is the social health fund, and all the other funds that have been set out by these funds will cover our children. So going forward, we don't need to be worried because our children will be covered through the universal health care scheme. Again, I know Mheshimiwa Murathe has dealt with the junior school issue and what the national national government constituency fund. I want to be grateful. It will be unfair if we don't acknowledge and appreciate what our leaders in Parliament have done for us in the education sector. Today, I can almost say 50% or more than 50% of any new classrooms are done through NCDF. And we are sure that in the long term, we shall sort out these issues. If there is one thing that scares me, Mheshimiwa, is Mwiki Primary. And we've done recommendations that needs to be done. We require land to expand Mwiki Primary. We've tried to expand neighboring schools, but these children still like Mwiki Primary. We've put up new other schools. There are other schools around there, but we still have 4,000 children in Mwiki Primary. We are working with the leadership of Kiambu and partly Nairobi to see if we can sort out the issue of land and expand Mwiki Primary. But it is a very scaring thing, I can tell you, given the number of children. I've been in that school several times, and it is real scary. But we shall deal with it as we move forward. Honorable Sairo, it is still the issue of junior school. I would want to assure you that it is a transitional problem, and it will be dealt with. Our children are learning. We've already started classroom support. You'll be seeing us in our classrooms trying to see what can be done to support our teachers. Those of us who are teachers, we shall be in those classrooms to monitor and work with our teachers in terms of peer review, in terms of teacher support program, in terms of peer review. We are also building capacity of some of our teachers to provide peer review and mentorship to our teachers, because we are in a transition that we must deal with, so that we don't again go into short-term solution for long-term issues. And again, I said we are bringing in the sessional paper and 13 legislations so that we can work together with Parliament in trying to get solutions to some of our challenges that are there. Taitimu, we agree that I can see has worked out. We shall continue to expand the school feeding program. Yes, with the climate challenges that are there, new problems will come in, but it will also come with new solutions. We have trial and rice and all the others, and we shall continue to see how we deal with this. And we are now doing an assessment with the support of the World Food Programme to see how much more we can expand to new areas so that we can capture more of our children. But the long-term solution is the universal school feeding program, where we shall feed, like those of us who benefited from the Nyayo milk, that we shall feed all our children.
Chair.
I think I've done the...
Chair, there is a follow-up question, Chair.
Yes,
Chair,
Chair, okay, and then...
Chair, I'm not satisfied on the answer the PS has given on the Edu Afia, because between now, Bwana PS, and the time the health reforms will take shape, what happens to the learners? How are you going to provide for medical cover for them? And Chair, we all understand that there shouldn't be a lacuna in law. So you stop a medical cover for students, and then you tell us we are waiting for the reforms? Surely.
PS, I hope you know, we can't, that one is not acceptable. You need to have a stopgap measure. You can't tell, if the law will take 5 years, guys will go to court. So will the children be in a problem because of that? You need to take up a very serious administrative issue on that. Either extending the existing, or you tell us what's going to happen. Yes, Honorable.
Chair, I asked a question on page 2, where the figures are changing from 31.
Page what?
Yes, thank you for reassuring us that there's a cessation of paper. Session of paper, sorry. Session of paper in the offing and 13 legislations. And I'm making this follow-up question because we have seen TSC circulating an amendment bill, on, particularly on teacher trainees for primary. It covers primary trainees for primary education. And it looks like from that amendment, it's completely in contradiction of the recommendations by the Presidential Working Party report. And I wanted to know, because in Mombasa you assured us that you have a very good working relations with your sister state department, and you have been consulting and you are in agreement on some of these issues. Just wanted to know, because we come from a region, particularly in northern Kenya, where we have very serious teacher challenges, and we are trying to come up with local solutions based on the recommendations in the Presidential Working Report. And we are afraid if TSC comes up with such kind of amendments or bill, it might take us back again to square zero. So just assure us that the primary teacher trainees in our colleges now, as recommended by the Presidential Working Party report, will not be affected by other extraneous amendments that are coming from elsewhere.
Thank you, Honorable Harrow. Honorable Harrow, we cannot preempt debate, but I will allow PS. You know, you are a member of Parliament and you know.
Assurance. We are in consultation and engagement with our colleagues in Teacher Service Commission, because at the end of the day, we are serving one master, who is the child. And we can give you our assurance that we shall continuously be engaging to ensure that we have a common appreciation of issues that needs to be dealt with. But again, as the chair said, we can only give proposals and it will be dealt by the House. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. But as a policy on BPS, PS, because you are a seasoned PS on this State Department, I would really want you to come out with very good and very strong policies and programs pertaining to every penny that you have been given, so that by the end of the financial year, or by the end of that financial year, you will have very clear KPIs, or what we call performance indicators. I will also want to note the issue of publicity on CBC. I want you to invest a lot, especially in your communication department, so that Kenyans get to know that this education system is run this way, it is going on in this particular manner. I know we are still having the issue of secondary every other time in our mind. Can you come out very clearly from your communication department, tell Kenyans what the junior school is doing, not junior secondary, junior school is doing, and what the senior school is doing, not the senior secondary, and tell them what the level of teachers, the grade, a teacher in junior secondary is junior school is a graduate like the one in senior school, and how the teaching learning areas have been put together, and how you have been amalgamating. There are so many things you need to do, PS, on that, so that we stop this debate where people think that grade 9 is completely different. It's going to be in a secondary school like the 844. It is not going to be like that. So you have a job to do. Lastly, is on the issue of capitation to schools. Please give us a very clear policy also on your circulars, so that your circulars do not contradict one another every time we have them. It is in sync with the school boards, the community, and everyone else. Thank you so much. I think we are through with our meeting. Can release you.
More Radio, 88.2 FM. We are in charge.